everyone, today we're going to talk about accumulator function, like accumulator graphs, functions, fundamental theorem of calculus, how it's all kind of comes together for different graphs that we have, including like area under the curve with geometry, all of that. So it's going to get very fun, right? All right, so let's take a look at this first one. Sorry about that. So let g of x equal a function from 0 to x of f of t dt, where f is the function graph shown. So this is f. This is not g of x. We don't know what g of x looks like. So you want to keep in mind that this is not g of x. So we have to think about, what does this mean? This means that I want the area under the curve of f of t from 0 to whatever number I choose. So for example, g of 2 is saying, hey, I want you to find me the area under the curve from 0 to 2 of f of t dt, okay, which is our function of f here. So 0 to 2 is this like quarter circle here. So a quarter circle is going to be 1/4 pi r squared. So 1/4, we've got pi, our r is 2, so 2 squared. So that's going to simplify to pi. Therefore, g of 2 is equal to pi. Okay, so the area under that curve is equal to pi there. Hold on just a sec. Gotta move, trying to move this. That's not working. Needed to grab my eraser, and it is not wanting to give it to me. Okay, we'll see if that works. Medium eraser is kind of scary. All right, so let's take a look at the next one, g of 3. So you can always pause this and see if you can come up with the correct answer for g of 3, knowing that g of 3 has to be the area under the curve. Sorry, that's supposed to be 3. Area under the curve of ft dt from 0 to 3. Well, I already know the area under the curve from 0 to 2, right, of f of t dt. That was equal to my that was equal to my pi. I meant to put dt there. Okay, so dt. So we're going to add that then to the area under the curve from 2 to 3 of f of t dt. So much to write down. You don't have to write all of this down, but I'm trying to show you. So the first answer here is pi, because that is what I'm getting. I'm taking from this, what I just did up here, I'm taking this answer. So that's where that's coming from. And then I need to add the area under the curve here from 2 to 3. Well, notice that's a negative. It's below the axis. So whatever I'm going to do, it's negative. And that's a triangle, so we've got 1/2 base times height there. So then we're going to have pi plus, let's see what that gives us, -1/2, or my base is 1, my height is 2, so final answer there is pi minus 1. So that's the area under the curve from 0 to 3. So if we go all the way to 5 now, I'm not going to write this one all out because I think you can start to get the picture here that I'm just adding the curve. I've already found 0 to 3, and so then I'm adding the area under the curve from 3 to 5. So taking this pi minus 1 for this part, so that's pi minus 1, and then we're going to add it to whatever the area under the curve is from 3 to 5. So here's 3, here's 5, so we're looking at a trapezoid. So, and it's below the axis, so it's going to be a negative h over 2, base 1 plus base 2. So let's bring along our pi minus 1 and then add to it. So our height is this space between the bases, so that's -2 over 2. Our bases are the ones that are different sizes, so that's 2 plus 1. And so that then gives me a final answer of, let's see, this becomes -1, so -3, so this is going to be pi minus 4. So those are your 3 different answers as you put all of those together. So then how does this help us find maximums and minimums? Well, if you watched the videos earlier, you kind of got to see what was going on in terms of like they're accumulating value. So if we start here, this is going to be positive. It keeps adding positive things. So our graph is getting bigger and bigger and bigger until it hits here, where then it starts to switch to negative. So our maximum is going to occur. So our maximum is pi at x equals 2. That's the largest value that we have for our function. And then we continue on to look for where a minimum is. So now we've taken all this positive stuff and we just keep taking from it with this area under the curve here that's just below the axis and negative. So that means our minimum is going to be all the way, it's going to be pi minus 4 at x equals 5. So that's our minimum value. All right, let's take another look. Sometimes we're going to get problems like this, where our function is defined from 0 to x, f of t dt. However, they're asking us for g of -1. So let's see what that looks like. That's just plugging in -1 for x, so g of -1 equals 0 to -1 f of t dt. And you should be looking at this and saying this is wrong. Like, we can't have our lower bound is supposed to be smaller than our upper bound. So we need to change that. Okay, so we need to flip it. How do we flip it? Well, we make it negative. We take the negative of -1 to 0 f of t dt, which means we are going to take the negative of the area under the curve right here, which is going to be a 1/2 1 times 2, so that gives us a -1. Okay, now that does not change our value of g of 2, because if you remember, g of 2 is going from 0 to 2. So that still gives us, let me just finish writing this out so I can feel a little bit better about things. And I keep putting that equal sign there. I'm like getting ahead of myself. So g of 2 still equals pi. G of 3 still equals our pi minus 1. Sorry, that's supposed to look like a 3. And g of 5 is equal to pi minus 4. So that area before the defined function is not involved when we start adding everything up. Okay, it starts at 0, so we don't add this into it. Oh, I didn't get rid of this question. All right, don't mind me, I just got rid of that one because that's not what I wanted to ask you. Okay, so number 3 we're looking at now says we've got to find g prime of 0. So this is where that second part of the fundamental theorem comes in, because if we want to find g prime of x, that means we're taking the derivative of the integral from 0 to x of f of t dt, which is exactly f of x when we plug that in. We don't know what this function is, so we don't get the luxury of plugging in the x and having some sort of equation. We just have to say f of x. Well, guess what? This is our graph of f still. This is the f function shown. So if we are looking for g prime of 0, that means we are looking for f of 0. F of 0 is as simple as it gets. What is the value of this graph at x equals 0? Well, it's 2. So our answer to there is 2. Okay, so now let us do g prime of 2, which is f of 2. So at f of 2, at x equals 2, our value is 0. And let's do g prime of 3. That is equal to f of 3. And f of 3 is -2. All right. And then g prime of 5 is equal to f of 5. I really didn't give myself enough room here. So f of 5 is -1. Okay, so now what does that mean when I start saying g double prime? Well, if I just figured out in the last problem that g prime of x is equal to f of x by the fundamental theorem of calculus, and if I take the derivative of both of these again, I'm going to get g double prime equals f prime of x. F prime of x is the slope of this function at x. So if we're doing g double prime of -0.5, that's going to equal f prime of -0.5. So go to -1/2 here, and we're going to go right here. What is the slope of this line? Well, it is up 2 and over 1, so the answer is 2. If we go g double prime of 2.5, that's going to equal f prime of 2.5, which means the slope at 2.5, which is right here. So this point here, so this is down 2 over 1, so that would be -2. And lastly, g prime of 4 is equal to f prime of 4, which is the slope at 4 here, which the slope of this line is up 1 and over 2, so 1/2. Okay, so that's basically what you should be able to figure out with these is where do we have maximum minimums? What is the relationship of g prime to g of x to the graph of f, and what is the relationship of the second derivative to the graphs that you're given? So you are ready to move forward for the worksheet and all of that. Let me know if you have any questions.